Guys, Deandra here, educator, author, and global storyteller. And I just wrapped up episode 5 of my show, Travel Passport Tomorrow, Bahamian Travel Talk, where the theme tonight was traveling for business opportunity. And I had my mom on. And I was just thinking to myself, as we were conversing, the whole intention behind it was just to, give Bahamians, just some knowledge and insight into, some tips and tricks and, just overall, I guess, nuggets for traveling for business, because that is something that I think there was no fitting person, no one that was more fitting than my mom, because she's been in business, from I was not even born, when she was pregnant with me, from she was, 14 years old. And so, as I was doing the questioning, and she was talking, I just, it was a full circle moment, because I really just felt like, wow, like this is a full circle moment. And anybody who knows my mom knows that she basically sacrificed her life for my siblings and I. And, just hearing her talk about her first, business opportunity, where she started to sell perfumes at the age of 14. She dropped out of school when she was pregnant with me and just never went back, and has been into entrepreneurship since then. And I just thought to myself, like, wow, like um, it has to be real, like, I don't know, like you have to be in awe to see, you're pregnant with a little child, and now, they're into adulthood, and you're having these one-on-ones with them. My kids, the oldest I have is what, 13. And so I'm just thinking, like, wow, like when it comes, when it's my time to see, Carter in, adulthood, and we're talking one-on-one as adults, that has to be one of the greatest blessings in life. And so, yeah, it just brought, a lot of emotions back. It brought back nostalgia, because my mom is a business woman at heart. Like, I could remember her getting up before the sun came up when she was in auto sales, and she would get up to, put the cars out just to have that visibility before the traffic starts, so people could see, the car and want to buy it. And I'm not talking about like, little cars, like little Japanese cars. I'm talking about like real high-end cars that were in the year, you know what I mean? And traveling, to the auction, in the United States, to be able to go, to the auctions, and where she would, do her business, from there, even if it was day trips sometimes, and yeah, like that's what I grew up watching. And so it was a full circle moment for me too, because it's like I really get to see that, us and my mom, we grew up together. You know what I mean? She's only what, 14 or 15 years older than me. So we grew up together, and just to think of all the sacrifices that she made for us, it puts you in a perspective. Like, I have to make my mother like super duper proud. She always, would preach things to us, and we learn by doing, being her children. And so tonight, now that the show is wrapped up, like I just got these flood of emotions. I'm like, okay, let me talk about them. And so that's what brought me here. But yeah, I would just want my mom to know that I just appreciate all of those sacrifices, that you made for us. Like, you you are the epitome of an amazing, amazing mother. There was nothing that was too good for us. And even though it was like 5 of us, you always made each one of us feel incredibly special. And, from putting us in private school, and, when you wanted us to do sports, and I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be the one. You paid for tutors, when I wasn't quite getting it with that algebra stuff and math. And, just to think back at how much sacrifices you made for us. Like, you were just such an incredible woman. And if I were to be even an ounce, well, not an ounce, that's not the right comparison. If I were only to be half of the woman that you are, I would have lived an amazing life and would have done my children, been of good service to them, because you did everything for us. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but you're just so remarkable. You know what I mean? You're just such a remarkable woman, to be a woman in business and still have integrity. You taught us when you're dealing with man, you have to put on your business face. Just all of those principles are just so awesome. You taught us about being women of integrity, and to never, put ourselves in the position where we have to lean on someone out of vulnerability. You embedded that in us. And I think one of my biggest takeaways from you as a mother is, just moving away from wanting to be self-sufficient, and moving away from the mindset that someone else is coming to save you. I think you did that so well, a little too well. But I think those principles are so, they're embedded in all of us, and it shows in our lifestyles. And even though we don't get it 100% right, we are not without, we're not without our challenges, and our pitfalls. I would definitely say you did a remarkable job. And I love you, I love you, I love you. And I just thank you for every single sacrifice that you made for us. It didn't go unnoticed. Those seeds that you planted, they're there. And even though, you tell us all the time how proud you are of us, and just watching us go into our own each, individually. I just want to say, I love you, Mommy. Thank you for every single thing that you've done for us. Like you said with your mom, you always wanted to make her proud. And so that's why you kept pivoting in business. And I want to say to you that I have the same sentiments. I want to make you proud. I want to continue to be that woman, of integrity, that woman of, great value that you raised us to be. You invested heavily into us, not only with your time, but with your resources. And I just want to say, I love you, I love you, I love you. Thank you for this episode, with being on with me. It was so, intimate, and it was such a full circle moment. And all of the guests were on are just blowing up my phone like, your mom is so amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So I love you, Mommy. And I just wanted to make this video just for you. Love you. Mwah.